Good morning. Hello, everyone who's already joined the webinar. We are just going to give everyone just another minute to open up WebEx and allow everyone to get situated. So thanks for joining again, and we'll get started in just another minute. Thank you. Good morning, everybody who's still joining. We see the numbers ticking up. So it's 11:01 now. So I think I'll just get started with the introduction here, and then everyone can come on in to the webinar. So hello, thank you again for joining today. My name is Lauren De La Fuente. I'm a project manager at NYSERDA, which is the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. I lead the Heat Recovery Program, which is Program Opportunity Notice 5547. And I'm joined today by my colleagues Michelle Begin, Sam Colosimo, and Adil Hussein, all of whom are project managers on the Heat Recovery Program. So today during this webinar, we will explain the most recent updates to the Heat Recovery Program that we just published at the beginning of February. So I'll kick us off here with some housekeeping information, and then we'll get right into the details. Next slide, please. All right, so all attendees are muted, and you'll stay muted throughout the webinar. So please, when you have questions, submit them through the Q&A feature at any time, and we will answer your questions at the end. So everyone knows this webinar is recorded, and after the webinar, we will post the questions and answers and the webinar recording on our website, which is linked here. Next slide, please. So today we'll just start with an overview of the Heat Recovery Program to explain all 4 categories. Then we'll go through the updates that have been made to the Category 3 Heat Recovery Demonstration. And Michelle will describe the types of projects that the Heat Recovery Demonstration will support in its second round. And then I will explain the proposal process for Category 3 Heat Recovery Demonstration. And finally, Sam will explain how the proposals will be evaluated, and then we will take questions and answers and wrap up. So I will now pass it to Michelle to introduce the program.
Thank you, Lauren. So here's a quick overview of the Heat Recovery Program. We currently offer $27 million in funding across these 4 categories. With categories 1 and 2, the program offers technical assistance funding to help develop heat recovery projects. In category 1, the Heat Recovery Opportunity Assessment, we're paying up to $40,000 for engineering consultants to assess the heat recovery opportunity in your building. The engineering consultants will document current building infrastructure and generate an energy flow diagram to quantify the wasted heat from current operations. Most importantly, they will explore potential cost-effective measures to recover and reuse heat. The assessment is meant to provide actionable information for the building owner to make a decision and move forward with design. In category 2, the heat recovery project design, we're offering up to $80,000 for engineering consultants to develop a viable design for a heat recovery project. The goal is to define the business case of the heat recovery project and develop schematic designs for project implementation. The idea here is to move from the assessment into the design and pass most projects to the utility to receive incentives through clean heat. These 2 categories receive a 25% cost share from the building owner. The only exception will be for affordable multifamily housing, which can receive 100% cost share from NYSERDA. Some examples of heat recovery projects that came out of Category 1 and 2 include exhaust ventilation, energy recovery, wastewater heat recovery, or condenser water heat recovery. We encourage you to continue to apply for the technical assistance funding and reach out to us for potential projects. In Category 3, the heat recovery demonstration, we offer up to $2 million of implementation funding for heat recovery projects. So the goal is to demonstrate the technical and economic feasibility of innovative heat recovery solutions in a retrofit. So this category is a competitive solicitation with proposals due by June 3rd of this year. Cost share from the project team is a requirement for Category 3 projects. So for projects located in disadvantaged communities or consisting of affordable multifamily housing, NYSERDA can cover 75% of the total project costs, up to $2 million, whereas for all other projects, NYSERDA offers 50% cost share up to $2 million. Lastly, Category 4 offers up to $100,000 in business development support for manufacturers qualified under RFQL 5217, which is a sister program to qualified heat recovery solutions. So please reach out to us if you are a manufacturer of heat recovery solutions. This funding is available to all existing buildings in New York State, except for single-family homes and new construction. We just currently received some funding to be able to support buildings that do not pay the system benefit charge. So non-SBC customers are eligible for this program. There is limited funding, and it is on a first-come, first-served basis. As with all NYSERDA programs, we will not fund work retroactively, so work completed prior to application is ineligible for funding. Categories 1, 2, and 4 are open until November 17, 2025. We accept application on a rolling basis and notify you of approval in 2 to 3 weeks. We encourage you to apply if you have any eligible projects. And I'll go into the next slide and dive into the details of Category 3. So this is to go beyond what the utility incentive programs currently cover. And really the goal is to demonstrate innovative heat recovery solutions that are replicable across New York State buildings. This is the second round of funding for this category, and proposals are due on June 3rd of this year by 3 p.m. Eastern Time. There is up to $2 million available per award, and owner cost share is required for this round. Just to reiterate the cost share requirement, for projects located in disadvantaged communities or consisting of affordable multifamily housing, the project team must contribute a minimum of 25% of the total project cost, and NYSERDA will contribute the remaining 75% up to $2 million. For all other projects, the project team must contribute a minimum of 50% of the total project cost, and NYSERDA will contribute the remaining 50% up to $2 million. This is open to both SBC and non-SBC customers. However, we do have limited funding for non-SBC customers with around $4.5 million. So construction must start within a year of the award. That's another requirement. So we're looking for projects that are ready to move forward. Lastly, this implementation funding is not stackable with other NYSERDA or utility incentives for implementation. I'll go into more details in a future slide. Next slide, please. So now regarding project eligibility, a proposed heat recovery project must improve the energy performance of the property by capturing rejected energy from an existing building system or process and reusing the energy to reduce total energy consumption. The captured energy can be stored before being reused within the project boundary, so thermal storage is eligible as part of a heat recovery project. The proposed design must include the following 4 components: waste heat source, heat transfer technology, transfer medium, and the heat sink or the end use of the recovered heat. A proposed project must include an innovative heat recovery solution. So an innovative solution is a method or technology that challenges or outperforms conventional approaches. So we're looking for proposals that include technologies that are not already widely adopted in New York State or mandated by existing codes. The program encouraged proposals that demonstrate a wide variety of heat recovery technologies, sources of waste heat, and end users. Timing-wise, there are some prerequisites for the project. The project must have completed a feasibility study, such as the Category 1 Heat Recovery Opportunity Assessment or a FlexTech study or something similar. The project must have a design concept and be able to provide a completed basis of design, one-line concept diagram, or schematic design drawings. So participating in Category 2 will satisfy this design concept requirement. The project must begin construction within 1 year of and not before the NYSERDA contract execution. Going to the next slide, we can dive into who can apply. So project team must include a consultant doing the work and a building owner representing an eligible building. Technically, any party of the project team can apply on behalf of the project. However, keep in mind that whoever we contract with in the end is the entity receiving the funding. What costs are eligible? So eligible expenses include the fees for any of the consultants, architects, and engineers, and the expenses related to implementation, including construction labor and material costs. What is not eligible is any work that has already occurred, so the project team cannot claim as a cost share any expenses that have already been incurred. Other funding conditions, as I mentioned earlier, this implementation is not stackable with other NYSERDA or utility implementation incentives. Projects that have received or plan to receive incentives from other programs in the Clean Energy Fund or utility administered incentives such as the Clean Heat Program are not eligible to receive funding for the same measure and activities within the heat recovery programs. If you're not sure, please reach out and we can talk more specifics. Receiving funding from federally funded programs won't impact eligibility for the heat recovery program funding, but you should document the federal incentives and grants in the project proposal. Lastly, selected proposals will work with the NYSERDA team to qualify their proposed solution through RFQ 5217. I will now pass it back to Lauren to talk more about the application process.
All right, thank you, Michelle. Okay, so this is a high-level overview of the proposal process for Category 3. So as Michelle mentioned, the project must have completed a feasibility study and have developed a design concept. And then in June, the proposer will submit a proposal. Then NYSERDA will use an independent scoring committee to review each of the proposals against the evaluation criteria, which are impact, scalability, and cost effectiveness. And then in September, NYSERDA will notify the projects that are selected for an award and work on developing a contract, which we hope to have executed by the end of 2025. And then lastly, construction must begin within 1 year of contract execution with NYSERDA. Next slide, please. Thank you. You'll submit your proposal using the Apply Online link on the Category 3 Funding Opportunity page, which is linked on this slide. When you click the Apply Online link, you'll enter the NYSERDA Salesforce portal, where you will either sign in if you already have a proposer account or create an account. And in the Salesforce portal, you'll submit the proposal, and you must use our template, which is the Category 3 proposal template, attachment C1, which is linked here and on our websites. You'll need to submit a budget. You can use our budget template, which is attachment B, or you can provide any budget that you have developed for the project that shows a cost breakdown. And you'll also submit the feasibility study, which can be the opportunity assessment if you went through our program, or equivalent study like a FlexTech study. And then lastly, you'll upload the design concept. which is that basis of design narrative or one-line concept diagrams or schematic design drawings. Next slide, please. All right. So I just want to reiterate that this funding opportunity of Category 3 heat recovery demonstration is competitively awarded. So I just want to give some more information on that. A NYSERDA scoring committee, which is composed of technical experts, will evaluate and rank the proposals, and funding will be awarded to the highest ranking proposals. And the scoring committee can only evaluate proposals based on the information provided in the proposal. So the scoring committee members will not make assumptions or conduct independent research to verify claims in the proposal. So it's really the proposer's responsibility to clearly communicate all relevant details about the project. And since the committee consists of technical experts, your proposal should include sufficient technical details about the proposed solution. At the same time, you should present a compelling explanation that articulates the strengths of the project. So please support your claims with evidence and ensure your proposal is both thorough and persuasive. So now I'll pass it to Sam to outline the 3 evaluation criteria that the scoring committee will use to assess the proposals.
Thanks, Lauren. So when evaluating proposals, the scoring committee will be looking at 3 key attributes: impact, scalability, and cost effectiveness. So the first and most important is impact. The project you submit should be innovative, meaning the solution is a method or technology that goes beyond conventional approaches, prioritizing forward-thinking designs over standard code compliant and widely adopted practices in New York State. The greenhouse gas emissions reductions and energy savings from this project are significant and credible. In terms of energy savings, the proposal examines the project's impact on the grid and explains that that impact will be beneficial. In the proposal, it should clearly explain the projected impact calculated through the due diligence of a study such as a heat recovery opportunity assessment, a flex tech study, or similar. Next, the reuse of waste heat from the project is significant and credible. The proposal explains the non-energy benefits resulting from the project, such as improved indoor air quality, better occupant comfort, job creation, or enhanced resilience. Next, the project team has the capacity and expertise needed to implement the proposed project. The project design is well-defined and comprehensive, meaning the proposal includes a well-articulated basis of design that is accompanied by comprehensive schematic design drawings or detailed concept diagrams. Lastly, the proposal integrates the heat recovery solution seamlessly into the overall project design, demonstrating that the solution is a core component rather than an add-on. Next slide. So the second evaluation criteria is scalability. The proposal explains that the heat recovery solution has strong potential for widespread adoption within the proposer's New York State portfolio or by the broader New York State marketplace. The proposal provides the square footage or count of existing buildings within the proposer's New York State portfolio and or in New York State in general that are similar to the proposed building and have potential to replicate the proposal's approach. Next, the proposal explains other factors that could positively impact the project's replication potential, such as ease of implementation, commitment from the building owner to replicate the solution across their portfolio, or lead time of equipment and its impact on adoption. Lastly, all aspects of the proposal solution are readily deployable for future sites. The proposal explains the commercial readiness of proposed solutions, such as if the AHRI certification. Next slide, please. Third and last evaluation criteria is cost effectiveness. So the project team demonstrates that commitment by providing significant private investment. The level of private investment is appropriate for the building ownership and building type. The proposal should identify funding sources or a financing strategy for implementation. The project cost should be reasonable and a detailed budget is provided that shows hours and dollars allocated to each task. Finally, the proposal examines the costs and benefits of the project in terms of total investment relative to the energy and carbon intensity improvements using metrics such as cost per MMBTU reduction and cost per ton of CO2 equivalent reduction. Next slide, please. So we just covered a lot of information. I'm sure you have some questions. So please, at this time, type your questions into the Q&A feature and we'll address as many as we can. Remember, all questions and answers will be posted on our website after the webinar. So I'll read out the questions and Michelle and Lauren will help answer. So the first question in our Q&A document is Category 2 meant only to cost share schematic design drawings, or can it also be used for engineering design all the way through construction drawings?
Yeah, I can take that one. That is a good question. The main requirement or the main deliverable we require for Category 2 is a schematic design drawing. But the goal really is to get you as close as possible to implementation. So if you're able to stretch that funding and use it for construction drawing, I think that's acceptable. Just make sure to specify that in the application and we'll want to see those deliverables. Another thing to keep in mind is only $80,000, a cap of $80,000 for Category 2 with a 25% cost share. So it depends what you can do with that funding.
Next question, big one. What are SBC customers?
So SBC stands for System Benefit Charge. So those are customers or properties that pay into the System Benefit Charge, basically a charge into your utility bills. This is where most of our funding comes from. However, we were able to have some funding for non-SBC customers. So we have limited funding, but we can fund some non-SBC project.
Next question, are industrial manufacturers eligible?
Yes, they are eligible. All building types are eligible except for single family and new construction for this program specifically. So yes, commercial buildings, industrial, and manufacturers are eligible.
Next question related to Category 3, eligibility notes, construction must begin within 1 year of NYSERDA contract execution. What's the expected timeline between application submission and notification of award/contract execution?
Lauren, do you want to?
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah, it's in the slides, one of that flow chart that I presented, but if the proposals are, since the proposals are due in June, we would expect to have the evaluation wrapped up and notify the awardees in September, and then use the next 3 months after that to develop the contract. So it'd be from June when the proposal is due and submitted until December. So like 6 months until contract execution.
Sure. Next question, does the organization submitting the proposal need to be located in New York State?
So the organization doesn't have to be located in New York State, but the building that you're submitting to the proposal has to be in New York State.
Gotcha. Okay. Next question, can this be applied to thermal energy networks?
Yes, I think you just have to kind of specify the thermal energy network. I assume the thermal energy network becomes a heat sink potentially for the heat recovery project. So that just have to come into the proposal. But yes, that's applicable.
Next question, will the presentation be sent to all via email?
Yes. Yeah, it will be sent to all the registrants of this webinar via email, and will also be posted on our website.
Are category 3 applications accepted on a rolling basis? If we apply today, will we hear back before June?
No, that is just the category 3 is competitive, so we accept all the applications just, on that, we look at them on that due date, and they're all in one batch. NYSERDA scoring committee will review all of them at once and rank them, in that one batch. So there's not you can submit them earlier than June 3rd, but they'll just be reviewed in that one batch.
Next question, is the cost share percentage for category 3 different for hospitals?
No, the two, it's a 50% cost share requirement for all projects. The only exception there is if the project is located in a disadvantaged community, and NYSERDA has a map that you can search the address with, that's linked in this presentation, to check if it's in a disadvantaged community, and if the project is affordable multifamily housing, which the guidelines for that are also linked in this presentation and in our program summary documents.
Next question, would a runaround heat recovery system retrofit on 100% OA units be eligible for category 3 or considered code compliant?
I think we'll have to review that on a case-by-case basis. So do reach out to us with that specific project and we can discuss it.
Are categories 1, 2, and 3 all available to non-SBC customers?
Yes, they are.
Next, for a state entity with no private money, don't pay electric system benefits charge, but gas only, again, are we eligible?
Yes.
I believe so, but
Yeah.
again, reach out to us and
Yeah,
we can
please do
talk
reach
more
out.
specific.
Next question, can feasibility and design have been already started and still be funded?
No, so any work that has already occurred cannot be funded. However, if you've done a feasibility and you want some design funding, as your next says, you can apply to category 2. If you have already done feasibility and design, it might be the best to apply to category 3 to get implementation funding if your project is eligible.
Would category 3 be mutually exclusive of NYSERDA's other programs? This one's asking about the commercial and industrial carbon challenge program.
Yes, I believe that's mutually exclusive, yes.
Are buildings that have island mode generator plants, so no grid connection, eligible for this program?
That is a good question. We probably would have to review that on a specific basis, so please do reach out.
Next question, are eligible costs for category 3 limited to just incremental costs for heat recovery portion of the project or inclusive of total project scope? For example, an air handling unit placement in-kind costs minus total project costs would equal incremental eligible costs for heat recovery solution.
You don't have to submit just incremental costs. I would say that that's all we can really say, I think, here.
Next question, just to reiterate, it's category 3 that's due by June 1st, correct?
Category 2 is open enrollment, and you can apply until the end of the program. So I believe it was November.
Next question, do NYCHA packed projects qualify?
So NYCHA projects can qualify. I'm not sure what PACT stands for, but NYSERDA buildings are non-SBC customers and can apply to this program.
Next question, do people have to submit one project per application or submitting each building per application or bundling all buildings together? Additionally, you mentioned affordable housing orgs are exempt from submitting flex tech studies. Can you please clarify? Last, is this only open to nonprofits or can for-profits also apply?
For-profit and nonprofit can apply. We can get a proposal for one building is usually what we expect, except if you maybe have a campus property and you have a central plant, then it could be one application for the whole property. That's usually what we see. Affordable housing, and I don't think are exempt from submitting flex tech studies, so we do want to see an opportunity assessment even for affordable housing organizations.
Next question, can NYSERDA provide contact information to other submitters looking for a partner to submit their proposal?
No, we are not doing any partnering or like matchmaking with this Category 3 heat recovery demonstration. So yeah, that we don't have a list of any, interested parties who'd like to partner with each other.
I would say you can look at the FlexTech approved vendors list, which is public on our website if you're looking for a specific consultant.
Will you allow the Empower studies to exempt people from having a flex tech study?
I believe an Empower study should qualify as an opportunity assessment, but I don't know the details, and we can review that and confirm that for you.
Last question here in the queue. How long does it take to approve Category 1 and 2 so people can move on to apply for Category 3?
I can take that. So you don't have to go through Category 1 and Category 2 in order to apply for Category 3. You don't have to go from Category 1 to Category 2. It's just that the program is designed so that if you do decide to do that, then the deliverables from the previous category feeds into what you need for the next one. But if you do choose to go through all three categories, for Category 1, the engineering consultant will have their own timeline for how long the assessment will actually take. We've seen something like 4 months as an average, 6 months. It just really depends on the project and what type of data there is available to complete the assessment. So, the work actually needs to be done there. And then if you were to move on to Category 2, the design also, something around 6 months to complete. It really just depends. That's an average number. So it really depends on, how quickly the team is moving in their scope, in their work for the design and how complicated it is. But those are average numbers that we've seen over the past year. But we tend to turn around an application, in 2 to 3 weeks for Categories 1 and 2.
Would you allow a DOE software energy study to qualify as a flex tech study?
I'm assuming this is for Category 3, so yes, any study that was performed to determine what the opportunity is, you identified a project, you just want that documentation. I'm not sure which software you're talking about, but I think that should qualify, but do come to us with specifics.
Next,
And I see Laura, thank you for describing what nature pack buildings are. We would have to double check that. So if you may, please reach out to us to our heat recovery inbox and we can answer that question specifically. I also wanted to go back to the thermal energy network question. I may have misunderstood it earlier, but our program focuses with system in the building, within the boundary of a building. We can extend it potentially to a campus if the property shares a central plant and are connected mechanically. But typically, if you are developing a thermal energy network with different stakeholders going from building to building, this would not qualify for our program. We're not crossing building boundaries.
next question. It looks like flex tech applications are closed but anticipated in early 2025. Any estimation of when that may occur?
So I think you can reach out to the FlexTech team directly, check our website, and you should be able to find their email address.
Next question. When will you be announcing the awardees from round 1 of category 3?
Yeah, we don't have a specific date for that. Those round 1 awardees need to have, execute their contracts with NYSERDA, and then there will be a press release. And I think that is, we're slowing down on the questions in here. But if you do have any other questions, put them in here. I think we've answered a lot thus far. So thank you all for submitting your questions. And I'll just give it another minute if another question comes into the Q&A. Okay, well, it seems like we're slowing down on the questions here. So thanks again, everybody. Then can we go to the next slide, please? All right. Well, that really concludes our presentation. So thank you all for joining and listening in. If anyone missed the first few minutes of the webinar, this is just a reminder that the webinar was recorded and the recording and the Q&A will be posted on our website. Just give us a few days to get that up. And, we do encourage you, obviously, to develop your heat recovery projects by applying to the technical assistance through categories 1 and 2 for assessment and design funding. And please reach out to us, email us if you have any questions about the category 3 heat recovery demonstration, in terms of eligibility, in terms of how to submit a proposal, what's required in the proposal. And please reach out to us by emailing heatrecovery@nyserda.ny.gov so we can answer all of your questions. So thank you everyone for your time today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you very much.